So here I was talking about lambda functions. So here I was talking about lambda functions. So here lambda functions are anonymous functions. And I said this functions doesn't have any name. And lambda functions are higher order functions. A function is called as a higher order function if it contains another function as a parameter or argument or returns function as what? Output. So this is what we have seen. So we use lambda function when we required a nameless function for a short period of time. Now in Python, we generally use it as an argument to higher order function, a function that takes another function as argument. Now lambda functions are used along with built-in functions like filter and map. Now this is a syntax difference between normal function and lambda function. So that is syntax difference between normal function and lambda function here. So how it is done, this lambda here is so you can write a lambda function with arguments. So lambda function is defined in different ways. Okay, the first one is lambda function with arguments, same. Lambda function with arguments with return value. So you can write like lambda function without arguments with return value. So lambda function with arguments without return value. So you can write even lambda function without arguments without return value. Okay, so you can define lambda function in different ways. You can write a lambda function with arguments and with return value. You can write a lambda function without arguments and with return value. You can write a lambda function with arguments and without return value. You can write a lambda function without arguments and without return value. But a lambda function having only one statement. I said no, lambda function is having only one statement. Only one statement, and we cannot use a return statement. within lambda. So lambda function is having only one statement, and we cannot use return statement within lambda. But how it returns value by using assignment operator. So lambda function is having only one statement, and we cannot use return statement within lambda. Lambda function is having only one statement, and we cannot use return statement within lambda function. We cannot use a return statement. We cannot use a return statement within lambda. But how it returns a value? So how it returns a value is, for example, I'm writing like this. So there is a function main. So where I'm writing some lambda, this is not having any arguments. Without arguments, without a return value. So this lambda is without arguments, without return value. This lambda is without arguments and without return value. This lambda is without arguments and without return value. So this is a lambda expression. But how can I execute this lambda? Because if you want to run the lambda expression, it should have some name, right? Lambda should have some name, but this doesn't have any name. Okay, this doesn't have any name. So here, if you run this, this is a lambda, but is it executed? No. Function is not executed automatically. Yes, the function should be called or not? Yes. Then this lambda is assigned to one variable. This lambda is assigned to one variable. Now, what is the name of this lambda expression here? A. So I can call this either one time. I can call this either one time or more than one time. So without arguments and without return value, without arguments and without return value. You can write a lambda. Suppose this is without. You can write a lambda. You can write lambda. So it is having, okay, it is having arguments. So there is a lambda. What is the name of the lambda expression? Add. So lambda a comma b, a plus b. So there is a lambda expression. What is this lambda expression? Sub and a comma b, a minus b. Now this is a lambda function which receive values. This is a lambda function which receive values and return value. This lambda function receive the values. At the same time, it will return the value. So it will assign a plus b to which function? Add. So add is a variable. So if you want to add it, I'll say result 1, add 10 comma 20. Result 2, sub 10 comma 5. So I try to print result 1 and result 2. So this is a lambda with arguments and with return value. So this is a lambda with arguments and return values. You can write a lambda with arguments and with return values. So this lambda will receive how many values here? 2 values. And returning which value? A plus b. So I call the lambda function. So what is the name of this lambda expression? Add. To this, I'm sending how many values here? 2 values. So this 10 is received by A and 20 is received by what? B. After receiving 10 and 20, it will return what? A plus B. So you are calling the lambda expression called sub to which you are sending how many values again? Two values. So 10 is received by A and 5 is received by B, and then written A minus B value. But within lambda, you cannot write multiple statements. Within lambda, you cannot write multiple statements. But I said no, lambdas are used as higher order function. Lambdas are used as higher order function where you can send this lambda expression as an argument to another function. So what is the meaning of this? This is where lambdas are exist. Okay, this is where lambdas are exist. For example, there is a calculator. Calculator receive two values and then do the calculations. After receiving values, calculator is a function, it receives two values. And after receiving two values, it performs certain operations. Okay, so calculator is a function, and this calculator function receive how many values here? Two values. So that is n1 value and one more is what? N2 value. After receiving these two values, it will do some calculations. This calculator received two values. Calculator is a function it received. Calculator is a function it received two values. And after receiving two values, it will perform certain operations. So what operation it will do is, it will do calculations. But what calculations it will do, the calculator doesn't know. But calculator receive two values and use this function to perform which one here? Calculations. So I'm trying to say some result equal to calculations. So here I'm using one function called which one? Calculation. To which I'm sending n1 and n2 value and then return result. Now if you see this calculator, so I'm saying result 1. I want to add two numbers. Then what will I do is, I just call the function calculator by sending 10 comma 20. So here n1 values are 10 and n2 values what here? 20. So calculator receive two values and do which one here? Calculations. But what calculations it should do? I'm representing that as which one here? Lambda. I'm saying lambda a comma b, a plus b. Now this is function as an argument. This is called as a function as a argument. So what will happen here is, okay, what will happen? So here 10 is received by n1 and 20 is received by what? N2. And what is the name of this lambda here? C. Is a C is a function with how many arguments? Two arguments. So you are calling the function C by sending how many values? Two values. So that is n1 value and n2 value. After receiving n1 and n2, it will return the result. What is that result? It returns a plus b. So it will return a plus b value inside what? R. And this R is written into what? Result 1. So calculator do calculations, but what calculations you should do, that you are representing it as one lambda. So calculator. So I'm saying 10 comma 5. I'm sending one function a comma b, a minus b. Result 3. I'm saying calculator. Okay, calculator. Some 5 comma 2. I'm just writing here lambda a comma b and a into b. Result 4 equal to calculator. calculator. So here I try to send like 4 comma 2. I just write lambda a comma b. I just write a divided by b. So then I try to print some result 1. Okay, result 2, result 3, and one more is what here? Result 4. This is called as higher order function here. This is called as higher order because this is a function which receives the input as what? Another function. This is a function which receives the input as another function. Now once you run this, now you can see the value, result is 30 and 5, 10 and 2.0. So it is like this. But I cannot write a function and send here. A normal function cannot be defined as an argument. A normal function cannot be defined as an argument. But which one can be defined as an argument? Lambda function. A normal function cannot be defined as an argument. But which function is defined as an argument? Lambda function. Lambda function defined as a argument. So not a normal function, but lambda function. Okay, so lambda function takes the input as one function and return output as what? Another function. Take the input and perform. It will take the input as one function and perform operation and return another function as a output. Suppose in Python, you have some predefined functions. So there is a function called which one here? Filter. In Python, there is some predefined functions like filter. So it is an inbuilt function or built-in function. So what is the job of filter is? Filtering data. So filter is a function which takes a input as a function. So this is what filter will do is. So this is a filter. So one predefined function is there. What is the name of the function here? Filter. So filter takes the input as one function. Okay, it will take the input as one function. And it is also take one iterable. Iterable is nothing but collection. It will take the input as one iterable. Iterable is nothing but one. Iterable is nothing but one collection. What is iterable here? Iterable is one collection. Okay, right? Now filter is a function. And this filter function receive the input as another function. And it also receive one collection. So constructs an iterator. Now this will return one iterator from those elements of iterable for which function returns what? True. So iterable may be either a sequence, a container with support which one here, iteration or an iterator. If function is none, the identity function is assumed, that is all elements of iterable that are false are removed. It means this filter function receive one function and that function should return a Boolean value that can be true or false. See, filter function will do filtration. Filter function will filter the data of this iterable, but what data should be filtered? This filter function doesn't know. It means filter function uses this function to perform which operation? Filtering operation. Filter function uses this function to filter which operation? Filtering operation. To do which operation? Filtering operation. So what is the meaning of this is, for example, now this is a function main. So there is one list. Assume that there is one list contain some random values. Okay, there is one list which contain some random values. Some random values are there inside this list. Okay, some values are there inside this list. Okay, all these are the values inside this list. Suppose I want to filter the numbers which are divisible with 3. I want to filter the numbers which are divisible with 3. Then what I am doing is I am calling the function filter. So because the job of filter is filtering data, right? But filter function should filter only the data which are divisible with what? 3. Then filter doesn't know how to find whether number is divisible with 3 or not. Then I have to give the input to this particular function saying lambda a comma a colon a mod 3 equal to 0. Means I'm telling this filter function, use this function. I'm telling the filter function, okay, use this function and filter the data. Use this function and filter the data. So I send list 1. So what will happen in this case? It will read the first value. What is the first value here? 4. Is it 4 mod 3 equal to 0? No. Then read the next value, A. So what is that? 8. 8 mod 3 equal to 0? No. Then 1. 1 mod 3 equal to 0? No. 3 mod 3 equal to 0? Yes. Then it will return the value called which one? 3. What is it? Filter is a predefined or user defined? Predefined. So filter job is filtering data. But what to filter? Filter doesn't know. How to filter? Filter doesn't know. Then you have to tell the filter, okay, use this function and do the filtration. So you are sending which function? The function which divide the number with what? 3. So for which it returns true, only that elements are filtered. And whatever result of filter is there, I'm converting that result into which type? List type. Whatever result written by the filter, what it returns is one iterator. So that you are converting into what? List. So I'm just writing here list 1, and there is another list called which one? List 2. List 1 and list 2 here. Okay. One is a list 1 and list 2. Okay. So if you run this, now you can see this is having only the numbers which are divisible with what? 3. 3, 9, 6, 12, and one more is what? 18. 3, 9, 6, 12, and 18. Okay. So in the same way, now filter, for example, have a names list is there. Names list which contains some names. Okay, names list contain names. So like this, some names are there. These are the list of names. Okay, these are the list of names. This is a names list. Names list which contain the list of names. Now what I want is I want to filter the names whose name is end with N. Okay. Then what I'm doing is I'm saying filter. So filter, I'm sending one lambda. So lambda. Now this lambda receive one name from the list, and then name dot ends with what is that? N. So this is a lambda function you are sending to the filter, and even you are trying to send which one here? Names list. So filter receive how many arguments here? Two arguments. What is the first argument? A function itself. What is the first argument? The function itself. First argument is a function itself. And second argument is what? Names list. First argument is a function itself. And second argument is what? Names list. And then filter it, right? So the result I try to convert into which type here? List type. So I just print list 3. Now you can see only the names which are end with what here? N. Only the names which are end with the N. Okay. Now that is how you are trying to do filtration. Filter lambda. Now you are two filter function. I'm sending one lambda expression. So this expression should return true or false. If it returns true, that element is read. If it returns false, that element is not a read. So there are some predefined functions which uses lambdas as an input. Okay. So there is a filter, and you have one more function. Already I said about this function map. Map function is so map is also one function which takes. So we used map. So mapping is nothing but applying, right? What is map here is mapping is nothing but applying. What is mapping is here? Applying it. So there is one more function called which one here? Map. So map, it followed by a function and iterables. So return an iterator that applies function to every item of iterable. Okay, return. So return an iterator that applies. Return iterator that applies. Return iterator that applies function to every item of iterable, yielding the result, means returning the result. If additional iterable argument are passed, if additional iterable argument is passed, so what it returns is a function must take that many arguments and apply it to the items from all iterables in parallel. With multiple iterables, the iterator stops when the shortest iterable is what? Exhaust. Mapping is nothing but what here? Applying. Mapping is nothing but what here? Applying. Now you want to apply. What function you want to apply to this list of items? Now that can be represented by using which one? Map. So mapping is nothing but applying. For example, already we have seen, suppose there is a list 1 which contain 10. There's a list 1 contain 10. Okay, 10, 20. Okay, 30. Sorry, 30. I can write 40. Okay, this is 50. But whatever you write in the double quotes, whatever you write in the double quotes is treated as what here? String. Whatever you write in the double quotes, whatever you write in the double quotes is treated as what here? String. Now I want to convert these strings. I want to convert these strings. Okay, whatever you write in the double quotes, you can call it as a strings. I want to convert the strings to what here? Integers. I want to convert the strings to what here? Integer. Then what do you do it? You simply write map integer. You're applying which function? Integer to each value of which one? List. But you are not given any lambda, right? Okay, you can also define it as a lambda, but whatever result it will give, that result you are converting into which type? List type. So this is converting integer to list, list values to the integer type, each value. For example, there is another list which contain 1.5, okay, 2.5, okay, 3.5, okay, 4.5, like this. But these are the values of which type here? String. Okay, but string contain which value? Float value. String contain float value. Now I want to convert this into which type? Float type. I'm saying map. Okay, float comma list 3. Float comma list 3. So it means it will read each time one value from the list and apply which function? Float function. So each value will be converted into float. I'm just print list 1. I print list 2. I print list 3 and I print what? List 4. Okay, list 1, list 2, list 3 and list 4. Okay, now you can see this list is having strings and the strings you are converting into which type? Integer. And this strings and you are converting into which type? Float type. Okay, but here integer is a predefined function or user defined? Predefined. But suppose I want to apply my own functions. I want to apply my own functions here. I want to apply my own functions. Suppose I want to apply my own function. So how can I apply the user defined function here? For example, so I want to apply my own function. For example, okay, okay, for example, what I want is I want to apply one function to a list of values. For example, there is a names list. Again, names have taken. And what names list contain? The names list contain the names like this. So mapping is nothing but applying. Mapping is nothing but what here? Applying. Mapping is nothing but applying, right? Names list. I want to convert all these names into which case? Uppercase. I want to convert all these names into which case here? Uppercase. Then what I'm saying, names list 1 equal to I'm using which one here? Map. So I can send one function. What is that function I send here? Upper. But can I send like this? No. Because upper function doesn't have any arguments. Okay. Then what I have to do is I have to write what I have to write here? Lambda. So this lambda function each time it will read one name and convert that name into which case? Uppercase. Okay, now here I have to define only the function with argument. I have to define only the function with what here? Argument. So now this map, what it will do is every time it will read one name and send it to this lambda. So what is the first name here? Naresh. And return that in which case? Uppercase. Okay, so I try to send what here? Names list. What I send here? Names list. But the result, whatever it is written, I convert that into which type? List type. So in the same way, names list 2 equal to list of map, I said lambda n colon. So n dot title case. Okay, I just write here names list. So if I try to print names list, and second one is names list 1, and third one is names list 2. So yes, now this is applying which function? Upper function. Okay, upper function, now uppercase. Converted each string into which case here? Uppercase. Now converted each string into which case? Title case. Means first word of each word is, first letter of each word is in capital. First word of each letter is in what? Capital. That is called a title case. First letter of each word is a capital. That is called a title case. So that is called as a title case here, right? So if you see the output of this, now this is how it has been done. So this is how you are trying to define it, right? So but here upper and float, all these are predefined functions. But you can also define your own functions to apply on the data. For example, I have a 2 list. There's a list 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there is a list 2 with some 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now what I want is, I want to multiply. I want to multiply these 2 lists. I want to multiply these 2 lists. Multiply means I want to take one value from list 1 and I want to multiply with what? Value in list 2. I want to do some arithmetic on this both the lists. So then what I'm doing is, I'm trying to say list 3 equal to list of a map. I take one lambda. So this lambda takes how many values here? 2 values, and do one operation. What is it operation? Addition. What is it operation? It is doing addition, to which I send how many lists here? 2 lists. So I send list 1 and list 2 to map, and map will read one value from list 1 and one value from list 2 and return what here? A plus B. In the same way, list 4 equal to list of map. So I'm just writing here lambda A comma B. I just write here A minus B, sending list 1 and list 2. And list 5 equal to list of, okay, result map. So A comma B, and I just write here A into B, and list 1 comma list 2. Now this is list 1, list 2, list 3, list 4, list 5, list 5, and I just use a separator as a backslash n. I just use a separator as a backslash n, right? So once you run this, you can see 1 plus 10 is 11, 2 plus 20 is a 22, 3 plus 30 is a 33, and 4 plus 40 is a, so this is addition, and this is subtraction, and this is multiplying. 1 into 10 is a 10. Now you are trying to apply certain operations on collections. So if you are sending multiple iterables to this map, if you are sending multiple iterables to this map, then lambda should take how many arguments? 2 arguments. If you are sending more than one list, I mean, suppose if you are sending 3 lists, then you have to write a lambda with how many arguments? 3 arguments. If you are sending a 4 list, then this lambda should take how many arguments? 4 arguments. Because map is using which function? Lambda function to perform operations. Map is using which function? Lambda function to perform operation. Okay, map is using lambda function to perform operation, right? Now, if you see the output of this code here, okay, now this is the function called which one here? Map. So there is a map. Mapping is nothing but what here? Apply. Mapping is nothing but what here? Applying. So what function you want to apply? So that you are representing by using one lambda expression. That is done by using lambda function. So there is one more function is there called a reduce. Reduce is there. So reduce is, it is also one predefined function. But reduce is a function, it is available in one library called function tools. Reduce is a function, is available in function tools. So this is what reduce is, but it is available in function tools. Reduce function is available in function tools. So what is a reduce is apply function of two arguments. This reduce will apply this function. Okay, apply function of how many arguments here? Two arguments cumulatively. Apply function of two arguments cumulatively to the items of iterable. So you may give either one iterable or more than, one iterable. So from left to right, how many iterables you can give here? Only one iterable. So from left to right, so as to reduce the iterable to the single value. From left to right, so as to reduce the iterable to how many values? Single value. For example, reduce lambda x comma y, x plus y, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is nothing but you are applying which operation? Addition. Means it will reduce this list to one value. What is that value here? Sum. So where calculates 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus, and what is that? 5. So the argument x is the accumulated value and right argument y is which value? Updated value. So x is which value here? Accumulated value, and y is which value here? Updated value from iterable. If the optional initializer is present, it is placed before the items of iterable in the calculation and serves as a default when iterable is what? Empty. If initializer is not given and iterable contains only one item, the first item is what here? Written. So reducing iterables to one value, reducing iterable to one value. So that is done. So that is done. So that is done by using which function here? Reduce function. So that is done by using which function here? Reduce function. So that is function tools dot. So that is a function tools dot functions tools dot. What is that here? Reduce. Okay, so if you see this, so how you want to reduce? How you want to reduce the values? How you want to reduce? Right? That function you should send it. You want to reduce it by applying which function? You want to reduce it by applying which function? Right? That function you have to send it. For example, again, this is applied to the collection of values. So I've taken some random values here. So like this, some values I'm taking. So assume that these are the values. So I want to reduce this list to sum. Okay, then what I'm doing is, you have to import one. You have to import one module here, function tools. So what is the name of this module? Function tools. Okay, what is the name of this module here? Function tools. Import function tools. Import function tools. And I'm writing here function tools dot as a predefined or inbuilt module. So function tools dot reduce. So I'm saying lambda a comma b, a plus b. And this is to the list 1. And you can see the sum of these values. Okay, this is sum of these values. What is the sum of this list here? 112. Suppose I want the product, then I'll say function tools dot reduce. Function tools dot reduce lambda a comma b, a into b on list 1. Now this time it will print which one here? Product. And this you can call it as a product of these values. So it means you are trying to add all the values and you are trying to multiply all these values. You are trying to add it and you are trying to find multiply. And even you can write, suppose I want to reduce to one value. So that is a function tools dot reduce. So lambda a comma b, a if a greater than b, else b. Now this function will return maximum. It reduced to which value here? Maximum value. It reduced to which value here? Minimum value. Function tools dot reduce. Okay, I'm saying lambda a comma b, a if a greater than b, else b. Else b, what is this here? List 1. So you are reducing to one value. That value is a maximum value, and that value is what here? Minimum value. So you can see what is the maximum value here? 24 less than b. So what is the maximum value here? 24. And what is the minimum value here? 1. So what is the maximum value here? 24. And what is the minimum value here? 10. 1. Right? So it means you are reducing the list of values to one value. One value. You are reducing to one value. Okay. You are reducing to one value. Apply function of 2 arguments cumulatively to the items of iterable from left to right. So to reduce iterable to how many values here? Single value. You are reducing the collection of values to how many values? Single value. But how you are reducing it? By applying one function. Here I applied which function? Maximum function. And here I applied which function? Minimum function. So A is called as accumulated value and B is what here? Cumulated value. So first it will read 5 and 8. Then 5 is greater than 5 is greater than 8. 5 is greater than 8. No. Then what it returns? B value. So B is which value now? B. It means A value becomes 1 now. B value becomes what now? 8. A value becomes 1 now and B value becomes what? 8. So result value, right? So where it returns? It returns so that it can return how many values? Only one value. So this is where lambdas are very much useful. This is where lambdas are very much useful, like which is used as a function. It is used as a function arguments. Higher order functions means the function which is used as input to another function, that you can call it as what? Function arguments. But within lambda, you can write how many statements? Inside the lambda, you cannot write multiple statements. Inside the lambda, you can write how many statements? Only one statement you can write. So you can write a lambda with arguments with return value. You can write a lambda without arguments with the return value. You can write a lambda with arguments and without return value. You can write a lambda without arguments and without a return value, but you cannot use a return keyword. But you cannot use a return keyword inside what? Lambda. You cannot use a return keyword inside the lambda, right? So this is how you are using which functions here? Lambda functions. Lambda functions are the same thing. You can call it as lambda expressions. Okay. Yes. Okay, right? So reducing value to one value. Now here I applied which function here? Some function. So first it will take a value. What is a value? 5. And what is b value? 8. So 5 plus 8 is a 13. 5 plus 8 is a 13. And next a value becomes what? 1 and b value is a 13. So 1 plus 13 is what? 14. Then next a value is a 4 and b value is what? 13. Like that. Okay. So that is how reduce will work here. Okay. Now there is one more function you have here, recursive functions. Okay, recursive function or function recursion. Recursive functions are function recursion. Recursive function or function recursion here. Recursive functions are function recursion. Recursive function or function recursion here. So what is a recursive function or function recursion here? So what is a recursive functions or function recursion? So calling the function, a function So recursive call means a function call itself, a function which call by itself, which calls by itself is called a recursive function. So it means in recursive function, calling function and called function both are what? Same. In recursive function, calling function and called function both are what? Same. Calling function and called function both are same. In this calling function and called function both are what here? Same. You have to understand this. In this calling function and called function both are same. In recursive call, calling function, and called function, both are what here? Same. These are not two different things. Now, generally here, calling function is different and called function is what here? Different. So when it comes to nested function calls, that is called nested. So there is a function one. So there is a function one here and print, this is function one. And there is a function two which calls which function here? Function one. So here function two, for function one, function two becomes which function? Calling function. Function two is a calling function which is calling which function? Function one. Okay, which is calling which function? Function one. So here function one is called which function here? Called function. So function two is a calling function and function two is what? Called function. Sorry, function two is a calling function and function one is which one? Called function. So function two is a calling which function here? Function one. Function two is calling which function here? Function one. Function two is calling which function? Function one. But whereas in recursion, suppose there is a function three and function three calling itself. Okay, function three is calling itself. A function is calling itself. It's called recursive call or recursive function. So in this case, which one is a calling function? Function three. So in this case, function three is a calling function and function three is also it is a calling and which one here? Called function. So in this case, function two is calling which function? Function one. So function two is a calling function who's calling which function? Function one. But function three is a calling function who's calling which function? Function three itself. Calling itself is called which call? Recursive call. Calling itself is called which call here? Recursive call. Calling itself. Okay, calling itself is called as recursive call. But there are so many algorithms which are implemented in what? Recursive. Like if you are working with sortings like merge sort, quick sort, heap sort, searchings like binary search. Okay, there are so many complex problems can be solved easily by using which one here? Recursion. There are so many complex problems can be solved easily by using which one here? Recursive function call or recursion. So it's nothing but calling the same function again and again until you achieve the result. Calling the function again and again until you receive the result. A function which call by itself is called a recursive function. Calling function inside same function. Calling a function inside the same function is called which function call here? Recursive function call. Calling a function inside same function is called a recursive function call. Calling a function inside same function, you are calling a function inside same function, that you call it as which call here? Recursive function call. So recursion is just like a looping, right? Recursion is just like what here? Looping statements. Now recursion required, required how many statements? Three statements. One is called as initialization statement, and second one is what? Condition also it required, and third one is which statement? Update statement. So it is just like a looping statement only. Looping. It is just like looping, right? It is just like a looping only. Function required. Function recursion required. How many statements here? Three statements. Function recursion required three statements. First one is initialization statement, and second one is condition statement, and one more is a update statement, because it is similar to looping. If you don't give this, then it will move into what? Infinite. If you don't write this, then it will move into what here? Infinite. So what is the meaning of this is, for example, I'm writing the function 1. So there is a function 1 and I'm saying inside function 1, and the function 1 calling itself. The function 1 is calling itself, right? Function 1 is calling again which one? Function 1. Function 1 is calling again function 1. So what is the message I'll get inside function 1? Okay, but how many times it will call it? How many times it will call it? Infinite times. Is it any end for this function call here? No. So function 1, see, for example, I'm calling function 1. So this is my main function where I call the function 1. So my program execution starts from here, main. So first main function is called, and main function calls which function? Function 1, and I'll get the message inside function 1. Then function 1 again calls which function? Function 1. Again, I'll get the message inside function 1. And again, it calls the function 1. Again, I'll get the message inside function 1. Again, it calls the function 1. Again, I'll get the message called inside function 1. Again, it calls the function 1. So how many times it will call? Infinite. Because there's no end, right? So function 1 is calling function 1. But how many times? Is it any condition is there here? No. How many times it is calling? Is it any condition is there? No, there's no condition, right? So how many times it is calling the function 1? Function 1 is calling function 1 how many times here? Infinite times. There is no end for this function call, right? There's no end for this particular function call. There is no end for this function call. If you run this, now keep on executing what inside function 1. But I have to terminate, right? So what I can do is, okay, so I can terminate this, restart the cell. So this will call how many times here? Infinite times. Because of that, you have to write some conditions. So because it is like a looping, right? It is just like a looping. Okay, it is just like a looping where you have to write a initialization statement condition and you have to return which statement, update statement. Otherwise, it will execute this how many times here? Infinite times. It will execute how many times here? Infinite number of times. So it will keep on executing. How many times it will keep on executing it? Infinite number of times it will keep on executing. It will keep on executing it, but how many times it will execute it? Infinite number of times. It will keep on executing it, but how many times it will execute? Infinite number of times it execute. Okay, right? Now this is how recursion, but recursion required these three statements. That is what you have to remember. It is just like a looping statements, but recursion is evaluated. Recursion is evaluated. Recursion is evaluated internally. Recursion is evaluated internally using a stack data structure. Recursion is evaluated internally using which data structure? Stack data structure. Now stack follows. So stack follow, which one here? Last in? Stack follows which one? Last in, first out. Last in, first out. So recursion is evaluated internally. Recursion is evaluated internally using one data structure. What is the data structure it uses internally? Stack data structure. And stack follow. What is that approach it follows? Last in, first out. LIFO is nothing but last in, first out. Stack follows last in, first out. So the element what you push last is removed first. Now the function which is called last is removed first. So internally it uses stack. Now let us see with the example here. For example, there is a function called display. There is a function called which one here? Display. Display is a function. I want this display function to display the values from 1 to 5. I want to display functions to display the values from 1 to 5. 1 to 5. This display function should display the values from 1 to 5 or 1 to n. Okay, 1 to n. Then what I'm doing is I'm trying to print I try to print the value of which one? N, or 5 to 1 or 1 to, suppose I have given 1 to 5. Okay, so I printed n value, and if n is less than, okay, so here I say display n, right? So n value start from 1. Okay. If n is less than or equal to 5, I just write display. Display, I just send which value? N minus 1 value. So here this you call it as which statement? Update statement. And this is called as which one here? Condition. And this is called as which statement? Initialization. The value of n is initialized to what? 1. So 1 is printed now. 1 is less than or equal to 5. Yes. Then I'll just write n plus 1. So n plus 1 means what is the value of n? 2. So it will print 2. 2 is less than or equal to 5. Yes. Then display 2 plus 1 is a 3. Now it will print 3. Is it 3 is less than or equal to 5? Yes. Display 4. It will display 4. And 4 is less than or equal to 5? Yes. 5 and it will print. Is it 5 is less than or equal to 5? Yes. So I should take up to what? Less than 5. Suppose 4 is there. 4 is less than 5. Yes. N plus 1 is a 5. So print 5 and is it 5 is less than 5? No. It will stop. Is it 5 is less than 5? No. 5 is not less than 5. Then it will stop. I'm saying display from 1. 1 onwards up to what? 5. From 1 onwards, I want to display up to what here? 5. From 1 onwards, I want to display up to 5. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many values it is printed? 5 values. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this is called as which statement? Initialization. Okay, initialization. N value is initialized with what here? 1. So print 1. 1 is less than or equal to 5? Yes. So call again display function by sending n plus 1 value. That is nothing but 1 plus 1. The value of n becomes what? 2. So print 2. 2 is less than 5? Yes. So display function with 2 plus 1 value, that is 3. Is it print 3 again and 3 is less than 5? Yes. Then 3 plus 1, 4. Print 4. 4 is less than 5? Yes. So then again call display function by sending 5. Print 5. Is it 5 is less than 5? No. It will stop. Does it stop calling this function or not? Yes. So this is calling function and called function, both are what here? Same. But I say no, internally, how this evaluation is done is, this evaluation is done by using a stacked data structure. Internally, this evaluation is done. So recursion is very much useful for solving some complex algorithms. Complex algorithms can be solved easily by using which one? Recursive function, recursion or function recursive call. Function recursions or function recursive call. Function recursion, same thing. We call it as function recursion call. Anyway, I'll try to tell you more on this, like how to work with the function recursion, but tomorrow I'll tell you, right? So today I'll stop here and tomorrow we'll complete these functions and we'll start modules and packages. Okay. We'll start modules and packages, and after that, we'll see exception handling and all the things. But the end, I'll tell you object oriented. Object oriented, I'll tell you at the end. But first, I'll tell you all exceptions, databases, GUI, okay, garbage collection, and all the things, files, OS module, calendars. Okay, right. So we'll stop it here, and tomorrow we'll continue this. Okay, thank you.